Alright guys, and today as you can see on your screen here, we have a 4-star unit PvP tier list. Now keep in mind guys that this is my own opinion. You guys are allowed to disagree, I don't really care. Just let me know in the comments down below what you guys actually think, because I'm kind of curious what you guys think I should change in my tier list, and I'm always updating this every few months, and I'm always open to your suggestions, and it might help me think about how I should rank certain units in certain areas for the next tier list. So first off, we're just going to go right into it. We're going to start with Acades. Now this PvP tier list, before we start though, will encompass all of PvP, so Arena, Guild Wars, RTA or World Arena, and even defense teams as well. So starting off guys, we have Acades. I'm going to put her straight into the B tier. Now I'm going to put her in the B tier just because Acades is a very strong offensive Guild Wars unit. You can actually kind of cheese a lot of teams with her. She's very good with like Dark Corvus if you have Dark Corvus, and she's very good in very slow comps because of her extremely potent single target healing and her invincibility buff, which is very good. She's honestly kind of a little bit of a worse Ruel, but besides that, she's pretty decent. Next we have Angel of Light. Easy S tier, might be one of the best, if not the best units in this list so far, just because yeah, she's broken. Her S2 passive is super annoying. She gets CR pushed. If you focus her, she is usually very tanky, which makes her very annoying. If you use an AoE attack, she has that skill knowledge. Her S3 is just super broken with that silence, strip, and unbuffable. Basically cripples the enemy side and opens up your team to getting one shot from the enemy side. And her S1 also very strong with the silence. Silence is just so OP, and also because you can actually CR pushback units and really disrupt very easily. Next we have Angelica. So you might think that she's in the D tier because she's a Wyvern Slave, but I'm going to put her in the C tier because in the early and mid game actually, if you actually put her on your defense teams, you can actually cheese wins because people can't kill your Angelica until they get decent gear. So for that reason, I'm going to put her in the C tier. She's actually pretty good in the early and mid game. Next, moving along, we have Armin. I'm going to put her in the B tier as well. Honestly, she might even be low A, but I'm going to put her in the high B just because she is super good against cleave because of her passive, and she's just very good at disrupting. Very underrated. If you're looking for a good cleave answer, she's definitely strong. Actually, I'm going to put her in the A tier because I think she's actually very strong as a cleave answer. A cart, so it's hard to say because he's getting buffed, but previously, before the buffs, he's like C or low B even, but I think after the buffs, he'll be like high A or even low S. It really depends on if you get lucky because there's RNG. I'm going to put him in the S tier. Actually, I'm going to put him in the A tier because it's unknown. Better to undershoot, but I think he can be very strong in evasion comps, and he's just very annoying to deal with, especially after his buffs. So maybe he'll be very good, maybe he'll be worse, but I personally will just keep him at the A tier for now. We won't know until the balance patch hits within a week of this video, or I guess after a week of this video. Acid, easy S tier, very good disruptor, super strong. He is a good speed contester, one of the best in the game. He does crazy damage, and if you can take the first turn with him against a speed contesting comp, like a cleave comp, you kind of just automatically win. Assassin Coley, I think she's a worse, okay, now there she goes. She's kind of a worse Acid because I think Acid is just more consistent, but she's still very good. I'm going to put her in the A tier as well, just slightly below Assassin Sid. Honestly though, I think for the most part, just having a Sid built is fine. You don't really need an A Coley, to be honest, but she is still pretty decent on her own. Now moving along, Auxiliary Lot's very good in cleave. We're going to put him in the B tier, not really used anywhere else, but he does get countered by Selene and Politis. You have to be careful. Those units are super common as well, and he, his base speed isn't that great. Bad Cat Armin, hard to say. She's very niche. I'll put her in B tier as well, or low A, just because she is very cheesy, but she's pretty fun to work with. Benevolent Roman. So this unit actually used to be S tier and cleave, but now he's not that great just because of the meta. I'm going to put him in the B tier, or actually low A. I think he's still underrated. He's still usable, and a lot of people don't understand how strong his kit can be because his CR pushback is crazy. There's just no reason to use him over Angel of Light and Angelica now. Blaze Dingo, primarily a PvE unit. I'm going to put him in the D tier. Sure, you can make some team counts with him, but those are just very cheesy. Bloodblade Karen, I'm going to put her in the high B tier because she's a good cleave answer and she's a good cleaver. Besides that, you can't really make her work except on a bruiser build, but she is honestly pretty bad on the bruiser build in my opinion, so just way better to build other bruisers. Cartuja, not that great, D tier. Celestial Mercedes, just a cleave unit for arena offense, we'll put her in the high C. Challenger Dominion, also a good cleave unit. I'm going to actually put her in the low A because even though her S3 gets countered by Selene and Politis, in arena offense, she's very good at cleaving because you don't really see Selene's and Politis on defense anymore, and she's very good with that crit chance buff, so you can get more damage and crit damage on your units, and also because she has a CR push as well, and her S1 will one-shot units. Champion Zerato, just a counter to debuff units. I'm going to put him in the B tier. Nothing else. He's just a counter to debuff heavy teams. Next, we actually have Green Sid. So Green Sid's actually a very powerful PvP unit. He's extremely good at speed contesting, and his damage is pretty insane, and that speed imprint can come in handy very often, especially if you're trying to speed contest. So we're going to put him in the S tier. I actually think he's a little bit worse than Acid because, Acid is just by himself super fast, while Green Sid is also super fast. It's harder to get him to a higher speed than Acid, but I still think he's a very good unit to have in your arsenal, especially if you like to speed contest. Next, Clarissa, guys. So honestly, pretty useless in PvP except for like defense breaking in like arena offense early game. Besides that though, he's pretty crappy, or she is pretty crappy. I'm gonna put her in the bottom of C tier. Coley, guys, reworked, still terrible. We're gonna put her in the D tier. Corvus used to be one of the best 4-star units in the game for PvP, but pretty useless now. We're gonna also put him in the D tier. Crescent Moon Rin, she is a good opening unit, except that there are just better opening units in the game right now, and she kind of has some RNG built in, so we're gonna put her in the top of C tier. Crimson Armin, easily an A tier unit. She's extremely powerful, might even be S tier to be honest, but there's a lot of good knights already in the game. But she does a lot of mitigation. Her invincibility buff is super annoying, and she's just very strong overall. Crozet, D tier is useless. Dingo, D tier, also useless. Dominion, D tier, also useless. Fighter Maya, she's okay. She's good as like a Arbiter Villager counter, but no one really uses Arbiter Villager that much anymore. We're gonna put her in the C tier, probably above like Angelica. Moving forward, we have Free Spirit Tyria. She's mostly a PvE unit. In PvE, she's very powerful, but in PvP, she's also useless. Furious, same thing. General Purges used to be one of the best picks in the game at S tier, but because of the meta changes and how restrict is in the game now, he is going to fall into like the top of C or bottom of B tier, honestly. Great Chief Kawana, useless in PvP. Guider Either, same thing. Inferno Kawazu, very good as an AoE unit counter, but besides that, he's not that great. I'm going to put him at the top of B tier, probably below Bloodblade Karen. Karen, again, the non-ML version, she's pretty useless. We also have Kawana, pretty useless as well. We also have Kawazu, also pretty bad. Kitty Clarissa, she's okay, I guess you can use her as a cleanser, but for the most part, she's not that great. We're going to put her probably in the middle of B tier here. Kizuna AI, just a terrible unit. She was a collab unit, but she's really bad. Last piece, Karin, it's hard to say if she'll be good or not because she's not released yet, but I personally think she'll be very good. Let's put her in the S tier for now. I think she'll be a very powerful unit, or at least very fun to play, probably like top of A to be honest. Leo, not used at all. Lots, also not used at all. Maya, also not used at all. Mercedes, easy S tier, probably going to put her at the top because she's so freaking good in defense teams, and also even in RTA, you can use her as a cleave counter, or even just as a general DPS unit if there are not a lot of high damage dealing ice units on the other side. Boon Money Dominion, very good as a cleave unit. We'll put her around like here because of the fact that she is very good in cleave, except that she's only good in cleave. Peacemaker Furious needs buffs, not that great. We'll just put him at the top of C tier. Purges, pretty bad unit. We'll put him in the D tier. Rin, also pretty bad. Roaming Warrior Leo does see some use with like ML Flan and Summertime Hysteria comps, so we'll put him in the C tier, but for the most part, not going to be used that much. And we have Roman, also not used. Rose, good as like an attack buffer for like cleave, especially in the early game, but after that, not really used that much, so we'll put her in like the C tier as well. Shuri, honestly, is not that bad because of his imprint, but for the most part, that's the only reason why you ever pick him, but his imprint is so good that we'll put him in the B tier. Cirilla, not that great. Shadow Rose, not that great either. We also have Shooting Star. Acades, we'll put her at the bottom of C tier just because you can do some pretty wonky comps with her with like Kayron and like stuff like that. Silk, pretty bad. Sinful Angelica, will also put her in the B tier because she's good against revive units, and actually we'll put her in the A tier, bottom of A tier, because in cleave she's actually very good because of her attack buff. She also gives speed buff, so if you have like a unit like Villager, you'll buff his damage even more, and the unable to revive with her S3 up is very good. Regular Siren, not that great. She is an okay speed contester actually, especially because she can actually take the first turn in some situations, and she has a good imprint, but I don't really think she's that reliable. I'll put her at the bottom of C tier because I've actually seen her a few times. She wasn't that bad. Tempest Siren used to be extremely annoying, like easy S tier unit, but with the meta shifts and the fact that there's so many like extra attacks, not that great. But I think she's a good like answer to cleave if you build her at 260 speed and you actually put her on the artifact that can actually boost her up to cut. I think it's Celine's artifact, right? So we're gonna put her around like here. Troublemaker Crozet, pretty good standard knight. The only thing is there's just better knights out there, but he's still very good. We're gonna put him in the A tier. Next, we have Wanderer Silk. We're going to put her in the A tier as well. She's a very good opener. She has a speed imprint, the best speed imprint in the game, which makes her very good. I'll put her somewhere around like here. Watcher Shuri, speed imprint as well. He's also very good in cleave. We'll put him probably a little bit below Wander Silk because he's not as viable, but he's still very good. Then we have regular Zerato. We're going to put him in the D tier. So these D tier units, guys, definitely terrible. Everything else, you know, mostly in the A and S tier you want to use. Some of the B tier units are good as well in certain situations, but the C tier you definitely want to try to stay away from as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this 4-star PvP tier list, guys. If you guys have any disagreements or think a unit should be in a different spot, let me know in the comments down below because this is just my opinion. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.